world is fire and blood.
Everything is dependent on oil.
We are killing for gasoline.
The world is almost out of water.
Water. Now there's the water wars.
Here they come again.
Hi everybody, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity. This is Alonso Duralde. Unfortunately, Ben Mankiewicz and Christy Lemire did not survive the furious chase across a post-apocalyptic wasteland, so only the two of us are here to review Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay, so yes, 30 years after Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, director George Miller is back, this time with Tom Hardy in the title role. The world is still screwed up after the apocalypse, whatever that was. But, oh man, 3 decades away from this story has not diminished the holy crapitude of the car chasing and the exploding and the everything. Check it out.
It is by my hand you arise from the ashes of this world.
We are not things. We are not things.
Where is she taking them?
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
So holy shit!
Oh my God, this movie!
You know, those of us that cover the entertainment industry,
Sure.
when you see a movie get delayed and sit in the can and go back for reshoots, that's never a good sign. That's almost always means like, oh, it's a dog, it's not going to come out.
That's why I try not to read that stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole cottage industry uncovering production.
Sure.
And this movie, everything has been arrayed against them. You know, they've talked about they were going to shoot it and it was delayed by 9/11 because the dollar dropped against the Australian dollar. And it was too expensive to shoot. And then they had to delay because there was too much rain in Australia and the outback was covered with flowers, and so they couldn't shoot. So they had to wait a year. There've been all kinds of delays. They went and did mass reshoots. They started without a finished script. None of it matters.
Doesn't
this movie's
matter.
amazing.
It was all worth it, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, this movie, okay, so we start out, they've changed the Max backstory a little bit, because in the first movie, he loses his wife and an infant son, and now he's lost a young daughter, and the daughter sort of appears throughout the film. But apart from that, it's pretty much, picking up where they left off. And, there is like some plot at the beginning. He is captured, and who's capturing him, and what's this crazy world in which he has, become a prisoner. But then once the actual chasing and the action starts, it does not let up, and it's so exciting and just so breathless throughout. And my God, Charlize Theron is such a badass.
Yeah. She's very good in this.
Yeah.
Well, and this is a movie that shows, I think, what George Miller is capable of and why we like those first 3 Mad Max movies and some of his other movies. This is a movie that's very well thought out. It would be very easy to just shoot a series of car chases, but this movie is deeper than that. There's a reasoning behind everything he does, even though it may not get addressed on screen. He's said in Q&As when people will ask him about things, he will explain the thought that goes into that, and I think that makes a difference for the plot here and for the story that's being told. Now, I'm not quite as positive on this as you. I'm a little bit less because I feel like this almost doesn't need to be a Mad Max movie. And this is more Charlize Theron's movie than Tom Hardy's movie. I think we get a better sense of her character as opposed to Max. Now, granted, yes, we've seen Max before. You know, a lot of people will ask, is this a sequel or a reboot? I don't know that it really matters.
Well, and I don't know that Max was necessarily all that deep a character to begin with. He's always sort of been, he's kind of like the equivalent of, say, Clint Eastwood as the man with no name. You know, he's had a terrible past. He is a survivor. Like, survival is all that he has left. And, you know, let's throw him in a new situation and see how he survives that. You know, and so that's kind of what this series has been. So I don't feel like, I mean, yes, you're right. Mad Max is almost sort of secondary to the goings-on, but ultimately, he's more of a conduit to get us into this landscape in general anyway. So I was okay with that. That didn't bother me. This movie, I think, owes a lot to traditional Westerns. You know, there's, in terms of sort of the structure, a lot of the character motivation. There are callbacks, that sort of thing. But there's just so much here that is so vibrant and new. And we've seen so many movies of CG, and that can be really fun. I mean, I love the Furious movies. I love the Avengers movies to an extent. You know, but this one, while I'm sure there is tons of CG going on, there is so much of it that feels so direct and human and relatable in your face of people, you know, just right up there doing dangerous stuff, and it looks like they're right in the middle of it, and it doesn't feel like there's that filter of safety that you get from a lot
all of the stuff that matters is all practical. All of the driving, all of the stunts are all practically shot, and by practical I mean there's people in those cars flipping them over and blowing them up, and that makes a huge difference. It makes it so much more visceral, and it makes you feel that more. Now, in one of the Q&As that I've seen with George Miller, the director, he's talked about how he likes testing movies in front of an audience, and he said, you know, early on they figured out that they had the first half of the movie, but the second half needed some work. I think the second half still needs a little bit of work. Like, where the story goes, they make a decision, you know, to start off the third act that I didn't really buy and lost me a little bit, but they execute what they're doing well enough that I was okay with it. I don't want to spoil anything.
I say we'll have to talk about this off camera because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. To me, I thought it developed in an interesting way. You get to certain points where you kind of think you know what's going to happen, and then it kind of goes into other directions. You know, as has been pointed out, this is very much a feminist action movie in terms of not just Charlize Theron, but you have women playing a lot of key roles in the film.
I want them back! They're my property!
There's a matriarchy involved at one point, but I think
and it's interesting that it's women as kind of property, but rescued by women, and it's a very much the women in this movie have agency.
Absolutely,
and they're not just there to be trophies.
Yeah,
they may be treated as a trophy by one of the characters, but they don't consider themselves that way.
Yeah, even the women in peril in this movie are never treated by Miller and his co-writers as the girl.
Right.
You know, they have personalities, they have strengths, they have things that they bring to all of this. I think for a movie that is set with cars in the desert, there is so much amazing visual design in terms of character and costume. Just some of the most breathlessly exciting action sequences I've seen in I don't know how long.
And one of the things that I love about all of the Mad Max movies, and Miller has lost no momentum on this, is that the design of the vehicles is great. His casting of the bit parts is great.
Yeah.
He can find someone who can embody a part that's got 2 lines and be, you know, Angus Sampson shows up in this movie. And he's got all of like 6 lines, but you kind of know where that character is coming from. Nicholas Hoult is one of these war boys that you see a lot of. He's great in this movie. I do want to point out that we're seeing a very bald, clean-shaven Nicholas Hoult. Maybe he's tired of wearing the blue fur that we see in the X-Men movies.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
I'm sure he was doing this before, during, and after, probably.
Exactly.
I would say this movie is the automotive equivalent of what I got out of the hand-to-hand stuff in the Raid Redemption. It's that good. It is that exciting. It is that, you know, just sort of this apotheosis of the action genre in a lot of ways.
This is a great movie. It's absolutely worth seeing on the big screen.
Totally.
In fact, I think it will be a better experience than seeing it on a small screen.
Yes.
And see it as big as possible.
Right, and I think I saw it in 2D. That's how they showed it to me.
I saw it in 2D,
and it was fine.
You can tell looking at it in 2D what they meant to be 3D.
Yeah.
You know, if you like 3D, you'll have a good time.
I'm seeing it in 3D IMAX tonight. I'll report. But yeah, no, I was
great music.
Yes. Yeah. Junkie XL did the score, and it's not what you would expect in terms of, there are moments of it being kind of techno sounding, but then there's also like the big sort of orchestral moments as well.
Right. This is the most heavy metal movie I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
I mean, if you were to take all of the covers of all of the Iron Maiden albums and turn them into a movie, you'd get something like this.
Yeah, I mean, Dave was saying that he loves opera and he loves heavy metal, and this movie sort of combines the two in a way he's never seen before.
It is operatic on a scale that I think that we haven't seen anything close to since Beyond Thunderdome. I think that, yes, you could argue that Road Warrior is, but I feel like Road Warrior is a little bit of a smaller...
Well, that was before Thunderdome.
Right, a little bit of a smaller movie than Thunderdome is.
Sure. Yeah, no, this is sprawling and epic and exciting, and I'm a big fan. I give it a 9.5, and you?
I give it a 7.5.
All right.
7, still good.
So our average is an 8.5. It's a 99% on the tomato meter.
Yes.
Pretty much, we are speaking as one on this one. So yeah, if you have even an inkling that this is the kind of movie that you will like, it will be. And even if you are thinking, maybe not so much, you might check it out. Because believe me, I was not expecting to be this blown away by this movie. It's extraordinary.